Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's EBC video. We're at Landmark Plaza in St. Paul, thinking about John 8 verses 31 to 36. And with me today are a couple of Peanuts characters, Sally and Linus, that are going to help me do that. Now, John 8 has been selected as a reading as we think about Reformation. And in it, Jesus is talking to a crowd of folks who the Bible says had believed in Jesus. And then Jesus says, if you continue in my word, you are truly my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. It's a fantastic message, and it's a supportive message to people that, as the Bible said, at one time believed in Jesus. Jesus isn't giving up on them. Jesus says, hey, look, if you continue, you're going to be my disciples. But the people aren't taking it that way. Instead, they get very literal and say, what are you talking about? We've never been a slave to anyone. What do you mean by saying that you would make us free? And I want to think about the question that they've asked for a moment. Because we do wonder a little bit, what does it mean to be a slave? And Jesus, of course, responds and says, anyone who sins is a slave to sin. And so what does it mean to be that slave? Well, I want to think about it from this really fun story. This time of year, right? You get that 1966 television special. It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And Linus believes in the Great Pumpkin. And it's sort of the spoof on everyone who believes in Santa, and then Linus believes in the Great Pumpkin, who basically does all the things that Santa does, right? And in that evening, on Halloween night, he takes Sally out to the pumpkin patch with him, and he describes his pumpkin patch as the most sincere pumpkin patch ever. Because as Linus thinks about it, that's what it means to get the Great Pumpkin to come, is if you're really sincere, you're the most sincere, then the Great Pumpkin will pick you. And at the end of the evening, there's this fantastic scene in the culmination of the story when all of the kids have come and they see Linus in the pumpkin patch and they walk off, sort of calling him in Peanuts vernacular a blockhead, right? And then Linus says, wait, I'll still put in a good word for you if the Great Pumpkin comes. And then he's shocked. He's, what have I done? I've said if. Now I'm not going to be considered sincere. And that's what we think about as we think about a little bit of the Reformation and we think about what it means to be set free. The fact of the matter is that if it worked the other way, if we had to earn our salvation, if there wasn't just grace, then we would be worried every single day about whether we'd done it right, whether we'd said it right, whether or not we'd expressed our faith the best that we could, whether we were as sincere in our faith as we could be. And instead, when we know that we're continuing in Jesus' word, there isn't a task to do that's required of us in order to get that salvation. Jesus is simply there to give it to us. Now, what do we do with that freedom? What do we do when we know that we don't have to earn it? And if you go on in that story, actually, Sally then says, what have I done? I've wasted my whole Halloween. I was going to get candy. I was going to get cookies. I was going to get money. And we're reminded a little bit that we shouldn't be squandering the freedom that Jesus gives us by then just sort of looking for that fame and fortune and those things. That's the moment when we're free, that we get to choose out of joy to do things for others as well. So as you're thinking about Reformation, as you're thinking about your freedom from sin, think about the fact that you get the chance to do great things for others in your expression of joy in Jesus' saving grace. Everyone, have a great week.